So, 5th of February, it's my birthday, 59 years old, 59. Okay, that gives me cause to think. Obviously I'm on the threshold of my project, which is fit at 60 plus. So I'm not quite there yet, but obviously it's not very far away, is it? Fit at 60 plus, that's what I'm aiming for. Okay, so when I started all this in my late teens, I wasn't really thinking about being fit at 60 plus, I must admit. But obviously that's where I am now. So I thought probably a good idea, since it's my birthday, to do a physique check, if you like. You know, that's about as good as I can get it on a video. Just look at the externalities, make a few comments. I'm broadly going to say that it's not going so well. Obviously it could be worse. I mean, anything, you know, so long as you're living and breathing, well, it could be worse. But I think it could be a lot better as well. But anyway, so this is the sort of like the you know, the external reality. I think I'll post this with a link to a physique check I did in January of last year, January of 2024. And obviously it's February, so I didn't exactly do it on my birthday when I was 58, but it was very shortly before that. Okay, so I'm going to say, you know, that I have transformed, you know, my physique. Not necessarily all better, but I don't know, you know, definitely on some fronts has been progress. I think I'm carrying more muscle than I did then. Yeah. So the hypertrophy, definitely, I'm going to say that over this last year I've definitely put on muscle. I've got no reason to believe that it's simply, you know, sarcoplasmic fluid. No steroids involved. The nearest thing that I come to drugs is coffee, multivitamins, protein powder now and again when it's on sale. It's just too expensive for me. But yeah, that's the state of play. I've got no real secrets to the training. In fact, you know, I think you know. Okay, before I go into that, yeah, I'm going to say, I was just saying, I think I'm carrying more muscle. I think I've grown some muscle since my previous physique check just before my 58th birthday. Still, it's down on what I once had at, you know, certain points in my life. At certain points in my life, I was a lot bigger. Yeah, I was. I think the most I ever got to was about 108 kilos. That was my heaviest, 108. A lot of my powerlifting, I competed about 97, 98, 99. I did once go all the way down to about 79 kilos at one point, and it was very successful actually for powerlifting. So you know, I got a triple body weight deadlift. You know, I got a regional, so it's Yorkshire in the North East in the UK. I got a regional bench press record. Yeah, it was pretty good. But I found it very difficult to stay down at that weight. But well, it's not very difficult to stay down at that weight, you know. So, you know, basically, you know, the 79 kilos when you step on the weighing scale, that's a bit of an anomaly, you know, because you'd have been at that moment in time, I would have been sort of like not eating very much for the week prior, and the day before I wouldn't have been drinking any fluids, you know. So, you know, my real body weight, you know, if I'd have been normal, it'd probably be about 82ish, yeah. But I just step on the scales at 79 with all the, you know, the little tweaks that you can do to lower your body weight for a competition. But yeah, I mean, no, you know, I'm not saying that I could not stay down there, but I found it very boring not to, you know, do the eating and the training. You know, lifting. The joy of it for me is lifting more and more and more and more, or it was then anyway. Okay. But what I was going to say is, yeah, okay. Previously, I had quite a bit of muscle on my frame. I've got more muscle on me than I had a year ago, and I say I'm going to provide the link so you can see it. But having said that, I think that you know, a year ago, you know, I had some decent definition. You know, I was starting to get sort of like, you know, decent abdominals. Now I've got a hint of abs. No, it's not like there's nothing there whatsoever. But you know, definitely not as good as it was. So yeah, that's you know, that's most of the negative is, you know, yeah, I've gained muscle, but I've also gained fat. I can't deny that. I think that, you know, the coming period will involve more focus on fat loss. So, you know, obviously any muscle and strength is going to be slowed down by that. But I think that, you know, in the big scheme of things, that would be the healthy thing to do, and that would make me look better. Not that I do all this training just for aesthetics. It's mostly now it's about, you know, fitness and health. You know, and I'm going to say that, you know, the reality is that fitness and health is not the same as being you know, a good bodybuilder. Okay, now, obviously, you know, I'm not one of these massive roided out freaks. Okay, so I think that you can get to a certain level of bodybuilding where it's compatible with health and fitness. But I would say, you know, in my mind, I'd be better off being a little bit smaller and more well defined. So I'm not sure whether, you know, this year has been a success or not. No, it's not an unmitigated disaster, but it's not completely great. What else can I say? Okay, there's no, for much of the year it's been sort of like reacting to circumstance, you know. So, you know, I have all these wonderful plans and ideas, but it's all about working with what you've got. So, you know, I had several sort of like, you know, nagging injuries, or I don't know, niggles, whatever you want to call them, you know, pains, and the elbow. Okay, that's not so bad now. It's still there a little bit. You know, these things tend to not go away completely, but they go away to the extent that it doesn't really matter. The elbow, the wrist, this. So my right elbow, my left wrist, yeah, which is not really stopping me doing anything. The knees are always a bit tender, you know. That seems to be perpetual. That seems to be, you know, I've given up on that being any different. But all of these things, you know, have their impact on the training. So, you know, I think especially when I had this elbow issue, there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't do. So, you know, I was working around it all the time, working around it. So I was going fairly, I was going fairly light, and I ended up doing sort of like lots of conditioning work and kettlebells. So I found that I was okay to do sort of like kettlebell work. That seemed to be tolerable. But I wasn't okay to do heavy deadlifts, let's say. You know, the strain on my elbow was just too much. What else? Oh, I had calf issues. So, you know, I've got. If I think about it, you know, if I think about it, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but might as well get it all out. You know, I've got two sort of like main interests in all this that I think cover what I want to do. One is sort of like heavy barbell lifting, and the other one is running. That doesn't mean that's all I do. You know, I do a lot of activities, but you know, if I wanted to say narrow it down to, you know, what makes me feel happy, you know, progress on the heavy barbell stuff and the running front, and both of those, you know, I had to abandon them for, you know, lengthy periods due to injury. On the running, you know, I got this. I think it was my left calf. I've got to think about that because I've not got it anymore. It's completely gone. Yeah, completely cleared up. But that it came and went over and over again. So I thought, oh, I feel cured up. I'd go running, and you know, within about half an hour, there it was, stopped me in my tracks. Yeah. So it was my calf and my Achilles tendon. The Achilles tendon sort of like gave me issues on both legs, but mostly on my left. So yeah, you know, and I think that, you know, in many ways, once you start with this, once you're into a stop-start cycle, it's almost like you're a perpetual beginner. You know, you've got to have some consistency. You've got to have a good run whereby you get, you know, a good chunk of time where you can build these things up. What it might not affect so much is the hypertrophy. So, you know, conceivably, as you're going from, you know, one activity to another, completely changing it up, as I say, reacting to injury much of the time. So, for example, dropping the barbell work, doing kettlebell work. So I had a good run at you know, various kettlebell modalities. You know, so over the year I was doing heavy kettlebell swings. I remember doing sort of like 60 kilos at one point. Yeah. But lots and lots of swings with 40, 50, 60 kilos. And you know, as I say, a lot of good volume of swings. And you know, that did my wrist. So yeah, so I had to let that go. But not only did I do the swings, then I started doing this program, this clean and press and front squat program. It's called dry fighting weight. Basically, you do a set of front squats followed by a set of clean and press, and it's all low rep stuff. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4 reps, that sort of thing. Yeah, and that felt pretty good. And I imagine that sort of stuff is, you know, it's pretty decent for hypertrophy. So maybe, you know, on the hypertrophy front it was okay, but you know, obviously that I'm fairly recently gone back to the barbell stuff again. I kept putting it off because of the weather, so I'm not too keen on barbell stuff during the winter, but I just felt, you know, it's always the case. The grass is always greener on the other side. What you're not doing is what you want to do. Yeah. So as soon as you start sort of like biting into the barbell work, then you start thinking, oh, it'd be nice to do some kettlebells, and vice versa. But you know, you've got to discipline yourself. You know, I think the worst thing is just sort of like jumping from one activity to another. I think you've got to be consistent, at least to a certain extent. It's a fact. It's a balance between consistency and, you know, variety and what you can stand. But But yeah, I've just you know, fairly recently gone back to the barbell work, and I've just cracked a 100 kilo squat again for a few sets of 5. I'm hoping tomorrow I'm targeting 100 kilos for 5 sets of 5 on the squat. You know, so that's a bit of a, I don't know, that's like a, you know, magic numbers. You know, 5 by 5, 100 kilos. You know, they're both numbers that stand out in your mind. No, obviously, that, you know, those sort of, you know, 100 kilos 5 by 5 in, you know, in the big scheme of things, you know, it's nothing. I remember myself doing 5 by 5 with 165 kilos on squat. I remember that. Yeah. And you know, I wasn't a great one for pursuing 5 by 5 schemes either. So it was only, you know, I only did it sort of like short period of time just to see where I was at. I was in a commercial gym, I remember, so I didn't want to go, you know, low reps. So I thought I'll do 5 by 5. But yeah, 5 by 5, 165 kilos. That's definitely. I remember doing sort of like I think it was 185 for 7. Yeah. And bear in mind that, you know, the squat, for me, the squat was one of my weaker lifts. You know, I was better at deadlifting and bench pressing, I think, especially deadlifting. Deadlifting was my friend. I remember doing sort of like 240 kilos for 5 reps on deadlift. Yeah, but that's almost like another person now. You know, that's a different version of me. So, you know, but at this moment in time, I'm looking for like 150 for 5. But I'm hoping that, you know, going forward. So the plan going forward is, you know, going heavier again, and keeping the body fat down. So, you know, the problem is that those two objectives, they're pretty much contradictory, I find. It's doable to a certain extent. Okay. But that's a sort of like a longer term plan. But for this shorter term, for the next couple of months or whatever, you know, I'm doing a massive running emphasis. So I like the running in the winter time. You know, I find that it's something that I want to do. You know, you get warm quickly. It's pretty pleasant. It's all right. Nothing wrong with running in the winter time. And obviously, some days in winter are not good. You know, when it's icy and snowy, you know, that can stop you. But usually, you know, in this part of the UK where I am, you know, that's usually just a couple of days a year. Recently, anyway. But anyway, most of my running, I'm wanting it to be very, very easy. So, you know, a long time on my feet. You know, I'm planning. You know, one idea that I've recently had is that I need to keep a 2-hour run in the mix all the time. So not necessarily every week, but at least every fortnight. At least every fortnight, but you know, preferably once a week. But at least every fortnight, I need to run for 2 hours. So that's one of my goals, if you like. Or that's one of my commitments. So I need a 2-hour run in the mix. That's not to say that every run will be 2 hours, but at least once a fortnight. I'm thinking from now on, indefinitely, a 2-hour run. Yeah, which is you know, that works against, to a certain extent. You know, it's working against bodybuilding, powerlifting. So it's, you know, all training's a compromise if you think about it. Yeah, it's also compromise. It's always what do you do and what you don't do. So it's always a compromise. There's also you've always got to choose. And I want to keep up that 2-hour run. You know, for the fat burning, for the health. Yeah, definitely for the cardiovascular. Okay. At some point in time, I think I'll probably get back into the kettlebell work, but hopefully I will run it alongside barbell work. Okay. I don't have any real. There's no secrets. I don't think. You know, I think anybody who tries to sell you this, you know, secret routine or this, you know, these techniques, these magic techniques or whatever. You know, I think it's all very dubious. At this moment in time, I'm only training barbells twice a week. As I say, it's wintertime training. So twice a week, and I'm just doing the squat, bench, deadlift, and weighted chin-ups or pull-ups. So twice a week. I would say that you can get away with up to 4 times a week going fairly heavy on these compounds. You don't have to go as heavy every time. But I think 2 or 3 times is probably superior, thinking about it. You know, which is, you know, not what I was doing for much of the year. Much of the year I was doing sort of like, you know, weights, you know, 5 times a week, 6 times a week sometimes. But you can get away with it for certain periods of time. You know, very little of this is carved in stone. You know, you can do lots and lots and lots of, you know, apparently wrong things for a limited amount of time. You know, you can do high intensity and high volume for a certain amount of time, but eventually it's going to bury you. But at this moment in time, I'm only doing 2 barbell days, but I'm also doing 4, you know, hefty running days. So my running days now are 3 lots of 90 minutes and 1 lot of 2 hours, which is a lot of running. Yeah. But I think it all tallies with the idea that I need to work on the body fat, which is what I'm doing. Okay, I can't think of much I want to say, but yeah, obviously, you know, this is you know, I'm putting this up as a physique check, but I'm not really training for physique. Yeah. It falls where it falls. You know, what happens is what happens, and what happens as regards, you know, in terms of physique for me, is simply, you know, the result of you know, heavy performance oriented lifting. So I'm not doing it at this moment in time anyway. At least at this moment in time, I'm not doing any isolation stuff whatsoever. So I'm not doing any, you know, biceps, triceps. I'm not doing any abs and calves. Yeah, I have done during the year, but not now. But I say I'm just going for, you know, to me what I see as my, you know, the things that I'm most interested in, the heavy lifting and the running. And I think that covers, you know, the most bases. Anyway, I'm going to stop at that. So 59 today definitely makes you think. 59. You know, I'm on that cusp of 60, and that, in my mind, 60 is quite momentous. You know, obviously not going to change from one day to the next, but, you know, in my imagination anyway, you know, 60 is sort of like the threshold between, you know, middle age and old age. But obviously there's no fixed number to it. It's just a signpost, a marker along the way. But that's me at 59. Now, I suppose the burning question for those for those in the know, yeah, am I competing with Master T? Am I beating Master T? If you know, you know. But that's where I stand. 59. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.